From quiet mornings to city lights, every story earns its right. No filters, no favors, just the truth all day long. This is the pulse of Jonesboro.
Welcome to the Pulse of Jonesboro. I am Jeremy Terrell, and I am your host. Thanks for tuning in today. Today we are going to talk about the Jonesboro PD. So the police department is something that is dear to me. You know, those that wake up every single day and put the uniform on, they deserve every single bit of praise that they need in order to do their job effectively. And they are a vital part to our community. They need support, they need understanding, and most of all, they need the people at the top to know what they're doing and do their job to the best of their ability so that we can have the best police department possible. And currently, right now, that's just not happening. And this is coming from years of basically information given to me all the way up to current information. And I have been talking about this for over a year and a half that we need to make a change within the police department, the JPD, at the top. And the time is now. And I think once I get done with the information given, I think everybody will understand just where we're at with this. And hopefully something's done about it. So at some point in time, you know, the stuff that we're doing where we just sit on our hands within the Jonesboro City operation has got to stop. You know, we sat on our hands about the City Star stuff. You know, that was brought up for years and definitely was brought up a ton of times last year. Had anything been done, we wouldn't be in the position we are right now. People wouldn't be questioning. Nobody be yelling at the mayor about, you know, why didn't you do something? If anything would have been done, if we would quit sitting on our hands, we wouldn't be in this position. Well, here we are again with the same situation as far as sitting on our hands, and we have an issue that needs to be addressed. And the time is now to address it. If we don't move in a different direction, we're going to be scratching our heads in a couple of years going, you know, why didn't we do something? And that's just the truth. And so let me give you guys some figures to just let you guys understand where we are currently at with the JPD. So currently right now, we are 21 people short. So we're short 21 officers. Now, I did some calls around Jonesboro, some other cities, and nobody's in this same problem. You know, Truman, I think, has one availability. Paragould, I believe, is completely full. Some of the other surrounding cities are, you know, one or two down, but nobody is at 21 or equivalent of. So, yeah, we are a little bit bigger than everybody, but nobody's at 21. Some are completely full, and some have maybe one, maybe two openings. So let's just start there. So every shift, every single shift is short. All of the people on patrol are short. And how do you effectively do your job when you aren't fully staffed and you have people short every shift? And how do you effectively manage all of the situations and all the problems that are going on? You can't. You just can't. And the reason why we are currently short is this: the two at the top. Now, the chief back in the day was one of the best police officers Jonesboro had. Fantastic. He's a freaking good guy, so forth and so on. But the problem is he has said over the years to many people retiring or many people on the cuff, you know, don't leave me here with this situation. Don't retire and leave me here with this situation. That's been being said for I know for 4 years at least. So we know this situation's been going on for at least 4 years. I had a meeting with the mayor, the current mayor, when they were asking for my endorsement during the runoff of 2024 in October. I met with LJ, and both of those conversations went something like this. Hey guys, we have a problem in the JPD. What are you going to do about it? LJ said, hey, I've got the guy that will turn this around. It just happened to be the same guy that I had at the time. So I knew that he had been paying attention, and I knew that he knew what was going on. The mayor said to me, hey, I know what's going on. I can't fix it right now, not in a political year, not in an election year, but come January 1, it's one of the first things I do. That's January 1, 2025. Here we are in February, almost March 2026, and he's done nothing. And all that's happened is the situation's gotten worse. Now the morale is incredibly low. I was asking several different people that have left or whatever in the JPD, and they say anywhere between 70 and 90% are frustrated. So, and I said, well, what about the people that aren't frustrated? Well, those are the people that are in the cliques that, get favoritism. And I'm like, well, what do you mean about favoritism? And they said, well, when a department head opens up or something like that, their cliques get it. It has nothing to do with seniority or, how long you've been here or any of that stuff or who deserves it. It is, we're bypassed, things are happening. And, that's the way that it's been working for a long time. And people are frustrated. There's no leadership at the top. The assistant chief, she continues to do whatever it is she wants to do unchecked. She messes with people's budgets. You get a budget at the beginning of the year, you go and you say, hey, I've got training or whatever. I don't know the exact scenarios other than, sometimes that money's reallocated, along the year and nobody was notified. It's frustrating. There's been other circumstances where a job opening came up or 3 or 4 job openings came up, and she would send it out to several different officers and say, hey, please put down your number 1, your number 2, your number 3 of what job you want. And one person would come back and one of those jobs would be that person would be the only one that has it down as their number 1. Well, if you would think that if that's what you did, if you put that out, that person would get the job, right? Nope. And that's the kind of craziness and the kind of games that are being played within the department. And so that job would be given to somebody that had it down as their 2 or their 3. And it makes no sense. And so they're like, well, why did you even do that? And it's incredibly frustrating to them. There's no camaraderie between the different people on patrol. We have 4 different patrols. I don't, Alpha, Bravo, I don't, something like that. There's 4 of them and that are short. They're short. So let's just get that right. But, there's no like working together, and that doesn't have anything to do with the officers. That's at the leadership at the top. The assistant or the chief should both come in with statistics, I would say daily, but maybe, a couple of times a week and say, hey, this is our focus. This is where we need to focus in Jonesboro. Those of you that are over here, these are the statistics. Those of you that are over here, these are the statistics. That doesn't happen. Nobody talks to them. If the lieutenants or the sergeants aren't taking that on as a responsibility on their own, it doesn't happen. And a lot of times it's the sergeants that are doing that. The sergeants that are on patrol that are the lead for those individuals that are patrolling our streets. Different departments. And this isn't just under these 2, but for a long time they don't really work well together, and that's just gotten worse. And so you have CID, you have all these other different departments, and there's no familyhood going on. And I remember back in the early 2000s to 2010, I had quite a few friends on at that time, and I would work with them on with SWAT a little bit by getting them some houses to go and train in. I had some cool equipment back then that nobody else had, thermal cameras and things like that. We would go and play together with those kind of things. And when I say play, I mean, they were training. And so we'd use those cameras to kind of see if that's something that they wanted. There's a lot of things that we did back then, and they were the envy of the state. And in some cases, they were the envy of the nation. And they were the best trained. They were the most disciplined. It was a family, and everybody knew that JPD was the best. And we can't say that anymore. Unfortunately, it's not the truth anymore. And it's sad and it's frustrating. The people that put the uniform on each and every day, they want to be that. I mean, the majority of the people in the JPD have this calling to serve and protect. And we should be giving them every single opportunity to make sure that they're the best trained, that they're taken care of, that people are representing them, that people are fighting for them. And that's not the case. I know several different situations where the patrolman or somebody would be on a call, and it was a bad situation. They'd get out, people get in their faces, scream and yell, spit, the whole 9 yards. And instead of getting the, understanding and the man, I know, how tough it is to be a police officer. No, none of that. It would be like, you should have done better. You should have done this. And, these are crazy times and crazy tough situations. And it's really hard to be a police officer. It really is. And we're not doing the things to make that any easier. We're actually making things harder. Case in point, 21. We have to hire 21 more police officers. And we can't. It's not like they're knocking down the doors to come to Jonesboro. They're actually leaving Jonesboro to go to Paragould, to go to Truman, to go to other smaller towns. Now, some legitimately are going to state police and things like that. That's great. We want our police officers to move on up. But unfortunately, that's not the case. The majority of the people are just leaving because they're frustrated. We've lost, I think, 5 this year, 2 to firing and 3 to going to somewhere else. We lost several last year. Some just decided to just give up the badge completely because they're sick and tired of the situations going on. And that's the leadership at the top. And it's bad, guys. The camaraderie, the level of just people like doing their job now as a police officer isn't there. They get little to no support, family issues, things like that. None of that. There may be a few, and I've been told that there's a couple little cliques, and they kind of get all the favoritism, and then the rest of everybody's just out there in the dark. And, if you have issues, if you're dealing with something, there's no support, zero. And I don't know what we do other than it's time for the 2 at the top to go. It used to be 5-6 years ago or 4 or 5 years ago when, the chief was still beloved by a lot of them. It was, the chief we love the chief, but, he just lets the number 2 have too much power and doesn't say anything. Well, that's not the case anymore. Now, the people that are left, because a lot of them have gone on 4 or 5 years ago, but the ones now are just like, he doesn't care. They don't see him. They don't talk to him. There's no emails back and forth. There's no, hey, good job. There's none of that. There's none of that. And a couple of the things that are even more concerning. And this is why I said this several months ago, that we're going to be in trouble if we don't fix this problem. About 2 officers per shift out of everybody patrolling have a long time experience, and that can train, that can motivate, that can do all of that stuff too per shift. And the rest are not seasoned veterans. And that's really concerning, really concerning. Most of those people have left. They've gone to other organizations, state, other cities, things like that. Now, our drug task forces and some of that stuff, that's a little bit different. But they're longtime people and they've been there for a while. But we're going to lose a lot of those, I know, to retirements and other things. And have we appropriately filled those shoes, or are we going to? No, because we have 21 positions that aren't filled. What are we doing? We only have on average, 2 officers per shift that are seasoned veterans. We're driving our police officers away. And nobody wants to do anything about it. The mayor has known about this for years. City council, you know about it now. I know some of you have known about it for a little bit. It's time to put the pressure. It's time to have the conversation. Part of me is like, are they just thinking that the cameras are going to take the place of officers? Well, that's not going to happen. It's been evident that, these so-called cameras aren't really stopping a whole lot of crimes like they've been saying that that's going to happen. So what are we going to do to fix this? You guys have known about this for a long time, and we're losing more and more and more, and you're doing nothing about it. When seniority doesn't matter anymore, when you give a position to somebody that's been there, a few years over somebody that's been there 10, 20 years, and you just look over them because your buddy, you want your buddy to have the job or whatever it may be, is wrong. Not in an organization like this where seasoned veterans matter. And then we lose those seasoned veterans because they're tired of working for you, and they go to small towns. Some of them take pay cuts just to get away from you. This is catastrophic. This is the number one safety mechanism in Jonesboro, and it's being dismantled by the 2 at the top. And I'm not willing to sit here and not have the conversation about it anymore. I have had friends that have been trampled over. I have friends that have left here and went to other organizations strictly because the people at the top. I've had friends that easily would have stuck around a little longer to help train, to help do things. And you know what? The first day they get to retire, they're out. And it's a little bit different for those of you that are listening and don't know much about this. It's not retirement like you hit a certain age and you retire like we know is like 64 and stuff. No, these are people that have been there for 20 or 30 years, and they know the ins and outs of Jonesboro. They know the ins and outs of what's going on, and they're hitting their 50s and they're gone. Some of them in their early or late 40s and they're gone. They're gone because they've had enough. They're sick and tired of what's going on at the top. And the leadership has known about this for years. What is going on at the city level? Why can we not do the right thing? Why can we not make our city better? Why can't we move and act on things that we know are wrong and deteriorating? The mayor and I had this conversation over definitely about a year and a half ago. And he said, without a shadow of a doubt, especially because he wanted my endorsement, that he knows that this is bad and he's going to do something about it come January 1, 2025. Now, obviously, he wasn't telling me the truth. And maybe it's I don't know, is it weakness? Is it the inability to make a change? What is it? If you told me yourself, and there was people there other than just you and I, If you told me that that was one of the main things that you were going to do and you knew it was bad, here we are a year and a half later and you've done nothing. What does that say? That says you're not willing to do the tough things. You're not working. I don't know what it says. I mean, we can speculate, and speculation is not good. And we talk about transparency all the time, and we're not getting it. So I don't know. I don't know what we're going to do, but I do know that we got to do something. Some point in time, we've got to do something different. So, guys, I really didn't want to come on here today and be like this. We're doing some awesome things coming. It's exciting. We're going to do some NEA promotions. We're going to have a whole segment. We're going to start funneling you guys to the website. It's going to be super cool what we're doing here in the future. It's going a little bit slower than we wanted to, and that's just the learning curve. But man, some awesome things are coming. And we're going to boost Jonesboro. We're going to do the job that others should be doing, and they're not doing it. We're going to do it. We're going to push things and be massively innovative on the directions that we're going for you guys. So we're going to be your voice when the those that are elected aren't doing their job, and then we also are going to be the ones that help drive better Jonesboro. And I'm super excited. We're going to have tons of interviews. We're building a new studio where we're going to have multiple cameras. The interviews are going to be better. Everything's going to be better. And we're going to have the ability to do a lot of great things coming in the future. So stay tuned, guys. Like, share, get the word out. Speaking about being the voice, I have talked to a lot of police officers over the last several months. And I have said to them and asked the questions, hey, am I being too hard? What do you think? And every single one says, please keep being our voice. We can't say anything. Please keep being our voice. Somebody's got to talk for these people. Somebody's got to talk for the JPD, those that put on the uniform, those that promise to serve and protect us each and every day. They need our support. They need it. And the ones at the top need to either make a change. They need to go put them behind a desk that isn't about leadership. We don't need to allow them to continue to deteriorate what's going on because we're waiting for them to retire. It's too far gone. There's little respect for both of them at the top. And it's time to make a change. So, guys, we love you. We appreciate you guys. Keep tuning in, keep sharing, and we will see you next week. Thanks.